The New York Knicks swung and missed, rejected now for a third time. What does this mean for them in their coaching search? Plus, an update on the trade market. A few new players have become available. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. All right, let's get into it. So, according to Shams Charania, the Knicks formally requested permission Wednesday morning to speak to Mavs coach Jason Kidd, and Dallas gave a firm rejection. That's exactly what we were waiting to find out. We knew immediately that Houston was going to say no on Ime Udoka. New York, you're not allowed to have conversations with our coach. Minnesota shut down the Chris Finch thing pretty quickly as well. But the Jason Kidd, Dallas Mavericks situation kind of lingered out there for longer than you would have thought. But finally, when push came to shove, when New York officially requested to speak to Jason Kidd, the Mavs said no. He is our coach. We've got him under contract for at least a couple more years. And now the New York Knicks will have to resume their coaching search without getting one of their first three targets. And I think here's the real concerning thing for New York, for the Knicks, is that you fired a coach in Tom Tibido who did exactly what the roster was constructed to do. You beat the Boston Celtics. That's what this team was put together in order to do. Bringing in Karl-Anthony Towns, bringing in Mikal Bridges. That was to counter the 5-out offense of the Boston Celtics and the wing play that the Celtics have. Well, mission accomplished. You beat the Boston Celtics. Tom Thibodeau also got you to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, and that was not enough for Thibodeau to keep his job. Now, obviously, the Knicks are very convinced that whoever they get next will be the coach to take them to the next level, because now they're going to pay Tom Thibodeau $30 million to not coach their team. You got to have a lot of conviction to decide to do that. But I thought John Krasinski, who covers the Wolves, had a very interesting point here, and I think this is very accurate. He said, when you fire a coach for not making the conference finals, you send a clear message. It's championship or bust. That's an admirable ambition, but it leaves zero margin for error. Not a great situation to walk into. So perhaps did the Knicks overestimate how desirable of a landing spot they are? Look, they do have a very good roster. They've got very talented players. You've got Jalen Brunson, the heart and soul of the team. You've got Josh Hart, one of the best role players in the NBA. Of course, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns, on and on. They may wind up having to make some type of roster move, but maybe the Knicks looked at the situation and said, look, we've got a good team. The Eastern Conference is a disaster, and there should be a clear path to the finals if we can put things together, or at least there's a number of teams in the East who feel like the conference is wide open. Yet I think what John touches upon here is also accurate, that if you fired the dude who made the conference finals and beat the team that the roster was constructed to beat, and that dude can't last, that doesn't suggest that there's going to be a lot of stability in that job. You either win the whole thing or your head is on the chopping block. And so that's got to be concerning for any coaches looking at potentially making the jump to New York. So now the Knicks, who are looking for championship experience, looking for an experienced head coach. Fortunately, there are names out there. Mike Budenholzer's available, Mike Brown, Frank Vogel, perhaps Michael Malone. There are experienced head coaches out there, and they will get somebody, and they'll get someone pretty good. But this coaching search has not gone off so far the way the Knicks hoped it would, with their efforts to get Ime Udoka, Chris Finch, and Jason Kidd all shut down. But let's jump over to the trade market. New rumor coming out of Washington. The Washington Wizards could reportedly trade Jordan Poole. Around the league, there's growing belief that Jordan Poole could be moved either on draft night or later this summer. That potential shakeup adds another layer to Washington's draft strategy and could open up a path for a new backcourt face. So if Jordan Poole is out in Washington, if that's the way this ultimately goes, remember the Wizards were very unlucky on draft lottery night. They moved down as far as they possibly could to the 6th pick. But if Jordan Poole is on the way out, does that open up more room in the Wizards backcourt? Keep in mind the Wizards, while they do have the 6th pick, and that is the primary weapon that they've got in the draft, it's not the only one. They also have the 18th pick coming from the Memphis Grizzlies. So a decent amount of draft capital there for the Wizards to potentially use here. Now, for a while, Jordan Poole has been looked at as a guy that is simply unmovable. And we may finally be at a point where that notion has flipped, because Jordan Poole now has $31.8 million due this coming season, and then $34 million after that, and then he is a free agent. And so there isn't as much of a long-term commitment to Jordan Poole as there was when he first developed a reputation as being, frankly, an unmovable contract after winding up in Washington, coming from the Golden State Warriors. But you also look at what Jordan Poole did this past season, actually pretty good on a bad team. Again, on a bad team, but the efficiency was better than we've seen in the past. 38% from three, you'll take that. 43% from the field. You would imagine that number would go up on a better team where he isn't having to try to force looks on his own. 4.5 assists, 3 boards, 20.5 points. This guy can score. I think there's going to be questions for teams in terms of exactly how to utilize him. Is he best coming off the bench on a truly good championship caliber team as a sixth man, as a microwave scorer? Can he be a starter? I think those questions are still out there about Jordan Poole, but he had a good enough season this last year. And with the contract starting to become less of a factor that, well, I wouldn't expect to get massive positive value in return for Jordan Poole. I think he's more movable now than he has been during his Washington tenure. So a player to keep an eye on, Jordan Poole, potentially somebody that the Wizards could move as part of their draft night moves. Now, the Wizards are not going to be the only team that's active on the trade market. In fact, I think one of the most active and motivated teams is going to be the Orlando Magic. This report coming out that from Kevin O'Connor that Orlando is willing to move Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony, and draft capital for a win now upgrade. So that's been a constant theme that we've been seeing with these teams with multiple draft picks, as there's talks of them potentially packaging draft capital in order to go win right now. This is also part of the dynamic of the Eastern Conference, where we look at an East that, again, is wide open, and teams like Orlando are going to say, why not us? Why can't we be the team to make the run? Boston lost Jason Tatum, unfortunately, for next season. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they lost in the second round. The Pacers are in the finals, but are they scaring anybody away from trying to go for it? No. So teams like Orlando, teams like Detroit, they're looking at the situation and saying, we might as well be buyers and see if we can make a real push here. Now, the Magic had some very clear deficiencies last season, particularly shooting the basketball. They could use another playmaker as well. So perhaps they could combine some draft capital. They do have the 16th pick in the NBA draft plus the 25th pick. There's been talk about them maybe trying to package those together and move up a few slots. Maybe you can move up to, 13 where Atlanta's sitting, 12 with Chicago, something like that. Maybe you could move up a few slots, or you could take some of the players that are under contract right now, guys like Cole Anthony, guys like Jonathan Isaac, who don't have a particularly long salary sitting on the books. That may be attractive to teams. You look at Cole Anthony, $13 million this season, but then it's a team option next season. That's the kind of flexibility teams are looking for right now. And then we go and we look at Jonathan Isaac, $15 million this season. Next season, he's got a long injury history. I really like Jonathan Isaac, by the way. When he's playing, I think he can be a really impactful player, but only $8 million guaranteed for next season. So there's some protection right there. And $14.5 million, frankly, if he's on the floor playing, he's probably worth that. His upside, his potential is still certainly there. But then look, after next season, after the 26-27 season, $0 guaranteed on the final couple of years of his contract. So you've got a decent amount of flexibility there to play with. A couple of interesting deals that the Magic could package together. You put that together, that's $28 million and change in outgoing salary. Plus you've got draft capital. I expect the Orlando Magic to be a big-time buyer out there on the market this summer, and keep an eye on Jonathan Isaac and Cole Anthony to potentially be pieces going out from Orlando. Also something to watch with the number of teams that are looking for bigs right now. Orlando has a surplus of them, assuming Mo Wagner comes back one way or another, whether they pick up his team option or he signs a new deal with the team. They also have Goga Bitadze and, of course, Wendell Carter Jr. So some interesting potential trade targets there out on the market as well. But clearly the Magic are going to try to find shooting and another creator for their offense, most likely using Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony, those enticing contracts plus draft capital to go land those pieces. But everybody give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about Jordan Poole? Does he have value out there on the trade market? How about Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony? Can the Magic get something done there as buyers on the market? And the New York Knicks, how much trouble are they in now with all three of their primary targets having their incumbent teams turn down the Knicks offers? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.